Hi, everyone. I apologize for the lack of recent cop watches. I haven't been able to get out and watch like I usually do. My usual cop watching content will resume shortly, but until then, let's talk about how to actually cop watch. I feel pretty passionate about it, and I want to spread all I've learned to anyone that's even remotely interested. I aim to cover all aspects of the activity, including equipment, legality, and best practices. If I miss anything, please leave a comment below. First, let's look at the tools you'll be using. Are you just using your phone? Do you have a GoPro or body camera? Do you have your battery charged and do you have extra batteries to bring? Do you have a gimbal or stabilizer? Most of those things are for more advanced watchers. But the good news is that the basic equipment you need is just your eyes and your brain. As long as you're there observing the police interaction, that's the most important thing. But if you want to record, a phone is a great start since almost everyone owns a smartphone nowadays. Just point the phone at the police and start recording. Something relevant to consider is what to do with your footage. I suggest uploading it somewhere online for keeping in case your phone is broken, stolen, or becomes corrupted. Police are not granted the right to search your phone or recording equipment without a signed warrant, nor are they legally allowed to destroy your recording. I obviously post to YouTube, but you can post to Google Docs, Vimeo, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever's best for you. In the event that you need to submit a video for evidence, it's helpful to already have a digital footprint. Now that we've discussed gear, let's move on to your purpose: to observe the police and to protect whomever the police are interacting with. Most cop watchers fall into one of two categories, though there's plenty of room to overlap. One is the quiet observer that shows up and witnesses and listens to as much as possible. They collect information by shutting the fuck up and listening to the officers chatter. This cop watcher also might have a radio with them to listen in. They often give commentary of what they observe and hear since the camera might not pick up the audio your ears can hear. On the other hand,
You're done talking to me? How about you go fuck yourself?
and is the aggro troll that berates the police. This cop watcher gets off on making cops fumble over words, humiliating them, and generally causing a lawful ruckus. Oftentimes, these are more First Amendment auditors than actual cop watchers, but there's some overlap for sure. I try not to fall into this habit unless I'm being disrespected or the cops are leaving the scene. While this is usually the most fun and involved way to cop watch, you also need to be considerate of the person you're cop watching for. Berating the officer might hurt their ego and cause them to lash out at innocent civilians, so please be careful and thoughtful if you decide to engage in this behavior. Sometimes the cops will argue right back at you, and if I'm being honest, this often riles me up, but it doesn't mean it's always the right vibe for that time and place. Regardless of which archetype you fall into, your main purpose is to film the police, protect the rights of people dealing with the police, and to hold the cops accountable for what they do and or say. Now, let's move on and begin our cop watch. First, we'll talk about just showing up and filming with your phone because that's the most common situation that you'll be in. It's common to be out minding your business, going about your day, and then happen upon someone that got pulled over or people being detained. This is an ideal time to whip out your phone, turn on the light, and start streaming to YouTube or IG Live or TikTok, whatever platform you prefer. However, it's important to take a few preliminary steps. First, figure out the location you're filming in. Where are your exits? Who's around you? Are there other witnesses or passerby? This is the time to determine what exactly is going on, what the police are saying, what they are doing, etc. The more you talk, the less you hear. Like previously mentioned, this is not a bad time to give commentary to your video to provide context for watchers. Most importantly, be aware of your surroundings. Safety first. If you're thinking about doing some cop watching, having a plan is paramount. Gather your tools, camera, phone, mount, stabilizer, gimbal, extra batteries, etc. Are you filming on the fly or listening to a radio and responding? Do you know the area you're in? Do you have a route planned out? Are you mobile or on foot? Did you remember all your gear and to charge your batteries? Do you have a friend to watch your back or are you alone? These are all important questions I ask myself every time I go out with the intention of cop watching. Be prepared for anything. 99% of filming police interactions is boring, but that 1% of the time when shit goes off, it goes off, and you don't want to be unaware. Some basics to know before your first watch. First things first, don't be scared or nervous. I was nervous my first few times, but there's really no reason to be. You're allowed to film anything in public that you can see with the naked eye via the United States Supreme Court. You're expressing your First Amendment rights in doing so. Bring a friend if you can, but if you're alone, be vigilant. I already mentioned this, but it's really important to keep your head on a swivel for your protection. Look out for other cops and the ever so rare hero citizen that we'll discuss later. Don't stop filming until the cops are gone, because you never know what might happen once you shut your camera off. Get the names and badge numbers or ID numbers off of all officers on scene. If they deny you, you can file a complaint against them. Also try to get car numbers and figure out who is driving which car. If a cop asks you something, make sure you respond with,
I don't answer questions.
Okay. Make sure it's in response to a question, though. You're not trying to come off as confrontational. You don't have to verbally engage if you don't want to. Just ignore them. This is just a way to protect yourself. Lastly, and also super important, point the camera at the police and try not to record civilians. In fact, many of them will verbalize a desire to not be filmed, even if you're there to help them. You can easily blur out their faces in post, and you can let them know this. Just calmly inform everyone you're expressing your First Amendment rights, and you're there to prevent the police from violating anyone's rights. Be polite, yet firm, and never back down. Officers might ask you to move or step back, and if you want to comply, feel free to do so. I follow the pigs around with the camera, trying to hear as much as possible, even following them to their vehicle and ignoring the citizens I'm there to protect. On that note, remember that's what you're there to do. Protect other people from tyrants and fascists. You're there for other people, not your own wants. Hopefully now you've done a handful of cop-watching interactions, so we can move on to more advanced concepts and situations you might encounter. One thing you can do, if you're well-versed in policies and laws, is to recite policy infractions to officers. This often confuses them, because not only does a random citizen know their own handbook or local laws, but you're calling them out on their bullshit, which they're not used to. Another thing you can do, if applicable to your local laws, is let people know their rights during the stop. For example, in Southern California, a field sobriety test can be applied only if you are willing and consent to it. This may save a lot of people from false charges. Look at your local laws and police policies and become well versed with them. The last thing you want is to misquote a law and give advice to someone that ends up being more harmful than helpful. Police tape. Obey the invisible boundaries set by the tape. Don't get yourself into trouble just for some video. Also, obey if given a legit lawful order. The last thing you need is to be arrested unless you have like a killer lawyer on retainer.
Off duty? Yeah. I'd be slapping the fucking thing out of your hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know what? See, you just grabbed my hand. You know what that is? That's assault.
Why don't you file a
You know
complaint?
that? That's fucking assault,
Get out of my
buddy.
face.
No. That's fucking assault.
You're assaulting me right now.
Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You
You're a
know
piece of
that?
shit.
This guy does nothing but fucking help people out in this
Does he?
neighborhood.
Really?
And then you come over here with this fucking shit.
Quit touching me.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Hero citizens. Sometimes you'll get vocal bystanders and occasionally someone that will get in your face or even threaten you. In my experience, 95% of the people that have something to say will say it and move on. 4% of people will harass you. The best way to diffuse is to stay calm and explain what you're doing in the simplest terms you can. The vast majority of people will at some point lose interest and wander off. And then less than 1% are the ones that threaten or hypothetically pose any harm. So as long as you're aware of your surroundings, this should never be an issue for you. These people often feel like cops need protection and help, despite the fact that cops have guns, knives, and bulletproof vests. In nearly 200 cop watches, I've yet to be in a dangerous situation with another citizen. I hope this video is an informative look at what me and hundreds of other people do. Cop watching has been around for decades and has slowly grown into a small community of like-minded people across the country. I'm hoping with this video to facilitate more people getting into it, and then maybe we can start holding cops accountable for all the bullshit they pull on us on a daily basis. If you feel I missed something, please leave it in the comments, and if I make a part 2, I will use it.